going on, guys, and welcome back to the Hungry Road. I have a treat for you today. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and look what I found at the rental car lot. Yes, it did cost me a little extra a day on top of my normal rate to get this guy here, but it's going to be absolutely worth it. Like I said, I have an affinity or an attachment to the Chrysler brands. Yes, this is an FCA product, Fiat Chrysler America. We'll get into that anyway. But yes, this is the 2021 Maserati Levante SQ4. So that means it's going to have the more powerful V6 engine. Q4 is going to be the all-wheel drive system. So the word Levante comes from a type of wind in the Mediterranean that's known to change direction at any instant and intensity. And that's kind of what this truck is about. I'm gonna call it a truck. It's another crossover or an SUV or whatever you want, but it's not super huge, it's not super small. It's right in the middle. It actually has a near 50-50 weight distribution, so it keeps the car very, very balanced on the firm it up to make it more sporty, or you can loosen it up, make it more lax and more luxurious. But let's get to the engine options. There are actually two engine options for 4 trims. So there's a 3-liter twin turbo V6 with the base model that makes 345 horsepower. Then you can step it up to the S model. Now you're going to get 424 horsepower. Then there's the GTS, which offers a twin turbo V8. That bumps you up to 550 horsepower, and if that's not enough, there is the Trofeo, but it's the top of the line. You get all the red accents and red brake calipers and all the craziness. That gives you 580 horsepower with a 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds for an SUV. That is incredible. But this guy right here get you a 0 to 60 of 5 seconds, which is actually very quick for an SUV of this size. That weighs about 4,600 pounds. When the Levante first came out, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It looked a little choppy and broken up to me. The hood was very long and it made a sharp jetty movement over the roof line, but the newer ones are much improved. I actually had a chance to drive one of the previous generation ones a few years back. Took it to my cousin's wedding. My car was in the shop at the time, so the shop gave me a loaner, and it was a Levante. It was a Q4, wasn't the S, so it didn't have as much power as this one does, and I'm definitely enjoying that. But the 424 horsepower that this car does make is mated to a 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. Of course, you have sport mode and paddle shifters. We'll get into all that kind of stuff, but all-wheel drive is standard across all the Levante platforms. And this is the S engine. Let's go with the engine, because you can get a base S GTS Trofeo, but then if you get the base or the S, inside of that you have 3 additional trims. You have the base for that. Then you have the Gran Lusso, which is going to be more of a luxury package, softer leather, adaptive cruise control, things like that. Then there's the Gran Sport, which is going to be more sporty, more aggressive. And that's where you start getting like red brake calipers and all kind of extra stuff like that. So up front, we do have the new redesigned fascia for the 2021 model year. I love what they did with the front here. The grille is absolutely massive, taking a lot of air. Right behind the grille, you have active flaps that will open if the car starts to overheat, if you're tracking it or you're putting it to use. We do have the gorgeous Trident right front and center. You're not gonna make a mistake for what that is when it's coming at you or in your rear view mirror. On the sides here, we have LED lights here. These are the LED daytime running lights. They're actually 2 strips. Will look nice and bright at night. We have the bi-xenon headlamps off in the corner. Those will actually be full LED adaptive lights if you were to opt for the Gran Lusso or Gran Sport package. A few shortcomings here. You have this little black circle right here. So if you did get one of the other packages, you would actually have a camera right there that will add to your 360-degree camera, or when you're pulling into a spot, you don't bang into a curb because you can see what's in front of you with that camera right there. But I really, really love the way the front looks. I'm a big fan. The back end is so clean and well designed. You have the boomerang LED tail lights here, which were inspired by older Maserati models such as the 3200 GT. Your turn signals are these 2 guys right there. We'll demonstrate that in a second. Reverse light. We have your badge, your SQ4, means I have the bigger V6, and I have all-wheel drive, of course. Can't forget the gorgeous quad tailpipes that are kind of just melded right into the bumper there. One of my only gripes is this reverse camera. It's just like really bulky and it's like sticks out. It doesn't it's like it was an afterthought. I mean, obviously you got to have a reverse camera on cars now, but like they could have put it somewhere else. I don't know, but that's the only issue I had back here. The back end is gorgeous. So this is the key here. Very, very nicely designed key. Pretty heavy, if I might add. That's probably like at least half a pound or 3/4 of a pound in these two keys just sitting here. But we do have your standard unlock, lock. Press this button right here twice to open the tailgate, and your remote start button right there. But it's such beautifully designed. But as always, in most products, keep the key in your pocket. You can just grab the door handle and pull it open. This car does feature double paned windows. As you can see, there are two pieces of glass glued together. That will give you more insulation and more sound deadening. Kind of what adds to the weight of the car, but it really makes the ride pretty quiet if you want it to be quiet. Most of the Maseratis I've driven or owned have had double pane glass, but again, it adds to the luxury and the appeal of it being quiet and that you're separating yourself from everything outside of it. So there's a lot to go over here in the interior. It is absolutely stunning and very well designed. Starting over here on the left side, we have the steering wheel, race inspired, nice crest in the middle, very simplistic buttons on the outside, and on the back you have your volume control along with your seek for your, go skip a track or go backwards a track, and these gorgeous aluminum paddles. They make the most amazing sound when you click them, and they're always there. Like if you're turning or going around a corner, you can hit your pinky and you'll be able to hit those gears if you need to. Moving up to the back behind the steering wheel, we have the very retro light gauges. We have tachometer on the right, speedometer on the left, with a little infotainment screen in the middle just for any information that you need to be aware of. Moving to the right, we do have the 8.4-inch HD touchscreen. It has a frameless design, goes from edge to edge. It is absolutely stunning, very responsive, very bright, very clear. Below that, we do have the climate control. I'm very happy that it's not integrated into the screen. I mean, it is, but it's not all into the screen. So you can access a quick temperature change or fan change or direction change if you want to down here. I did notice that you do need to turn the AC on via the screen, but that's not awful. Above the screen, we do have an analog clock. What says luxury more than an analog clock in your car where the time is literally on the screen in front of you? But let's not get me started. Below the climate control and everything, you do have a storage pocket down here. You can put your phone. There is an auxiliary port, USB port, a regular USB port, SD card slot. Moving back behind that, we do have the gear lever. I'll show you how to operate that later. On the left side here, we do have traction control. You can turn that on or off if you want to get a little happy. We have your off-road button, which will actually raise the car a little bit, soften the suspension, change the gear ratio, not change the gear ratio, but change the gearing a little bit so that you can crawl over the rocks or whatever you're doing. Ice, that is for literally ice. If you're on an icy road, it's a stability program. It monitors the wheel slippage and makes sure you have traction on all four wheels at all time. And sport mode, my favorite button. This will actually lower the car just a little bit and keep the RPMs at a higher rate, and will open the valves for the exhaust. We'll demonstrate that too. And we have the sport suspension, which will stiffen things up and give it a more sporty feel. Behind that is the parking brake. To the right of that, we do have a way to browse the infotainment system here if you don't want to touch the screen, along with your volume control. Hazards are back here. And finally, we have the way to adjust the height of the vehicle. You can click this button up a couple times, it'll raise the car. And if you click it down a couple times, it'll lower the car, but it'll only drive at the max height or the lowest height for up to a certain speed, and then it'll go back to the middle height or one of the other two. There are 5 ride heights. Behind that, we do have a nice big storage pocket. You can put a couple 20-ounce sodas in here if you wanted to. There's another 12-volt cigarette lighter or whatever you want to call it in here. But the interior is beautiful. Now, one drawback, yes, this is a Chrysler product, Fiat Chrysler America product. These door switches are straight out of a Jeep Cherokee. Nothing wrong with them, but there's some part sharing going on here. And the turn signal as well. So the turn signal stalk is straight out of a Jeep Cherokee, but that's okay. I can kind of overlook that, for the price of the car, maybe I wouldn't want to overlook that. Yeah, I don't know. So up above you, we have our sunroof controls. You have the arrows here on the left side indicating which way you want the shade to go. I actually do love how the shade is almost completely opaque. You can see through it just a little bit, but it's not nearly as clear or as transparent as some other shades I've seen. So press it once and the shade will go all the way back to its midpoint. Press it again, it'll go all the way back to the very far back. Now you're revealing your entire panoramic sunroof. Press the button right here underneath the trunk button. That'll give you the moonroof operation, just letting in a little bit of air. And I'll press the button over here on the right. This one will actually move the roof all the way back and let in all that gorgeous Minneapolis air. Press it again, and it'll continue to go further and further back. Let's go ahead and get in the back seat, shall we? Looks pretty comfortable. Climb in here. Oh yeah, this is very, very nice back here. Very uneventful. All the fun stuff seems to be up front. But I do have, I've never seen this before, the ability to lock and unlock the doors from the back seat. I'm sure there's some sort of lockout device up front that will enable the person back here to unlock and lock the door, but I've never seen that before. I do have right here in the center, I do have two USB slots and another 14-volt outlet for like a cigarette lighter, for a phone charger, whatever. I do have two vents back here, or one for each passenger, but you can get 5 back here. But yeah, pretty uneventful, nice and comfortable, decent headroom, nice headrest. Yeah, you could definitely chill in this car for a long ride. It's nice big GT style seats back here. So another cool feature is you don't have to actually slam your doors here. You can actually gently close them because this car has soft closed doors. As you can see, the door pulls itself shut and then rolls the window up to make sure the door is always shut when you walk away. So to open the tailgate, you can press this button here twice on the key fob. You can use the grab handle here or press the button right above the center console to open it up. But let's just press this button here to open it up. Fully motorized lift gate. Decent amount of cargo space back here. It would be bigger if we did remove this here, but you can remove it so you can get your bags in here or whatever. But one cool feature here is what I like to call the skis pass through. So you see this little plastic piece here, you lower this, and then you can lower the armrest on the inside, and now your skis can pass right on through into the car up to the front seat. Really, really nice feature there. Just, you know, people who go skiing or snowboarding. I don't think a snowboard will fit through there, but you know what I mean. And if you want to close the lift gate, you can just press this button here, and it'll close for you. And now the moment you've been waiting for, finally an exhaust clip. So there's really two ways to start the car. You can use the remote starter, or you can just press the start and stop button here on the left side of the steering wheel. But there's two modes you can start the car in. One's gonna be more of a quiet mode. Remote starting the car is a fairly simple process. It does already need to be locked, but when you do remote start it, the valves will remain closed. You won't get as aggressive start sound. So take a listen, press the button twice to start the process. Still sounds good. It's not nearly as good. And there's the loud mode. Because remember, when you press the sport button, the valves open. So what you want to do is put the car into ignition mode. So you press the start button one time. Now you're in accessory mode. Press it one more time to go in ignition. Then you can press the sport button here. On the screen it'll show sport, and then you start the car. So we are inside the 2021 Maserati Levante SQ4. It's a nice cold, brisk morning here in Minnesota. So I'm gonna give you a cold start. with the valves open. Remember, we put the engine into ignition mode. So you have to press the start stop or the engine start stop button twice, then press sport to open the valves. You're gonna hear a glorious sound. Foot on the brake. That is nice. But this car is very vocal, if I can put it that way. It just makes so many noises. So we're gonna pull off here. So right now we're idling at 1500 RPM. Take the foot off the brake, or the parking brake off. Squeeze the handle here on the gear shifter. Pull back. We are already in sport mode. Let's pull off and just listen to the different noises this thing makes. Now we're at 1000 RPM. Now we're at 1100, 1200. Now we're at 2000. Like it's quiet. Like it got quiet at, looks like 1750. Foot off the gas. And it goes back into its, I wouldn't call it burble mode. Shout out to Shmee150. He has no idea who I am, but I watch him. And the use of the word burbles, he uses it all the time. The thing just bubbles away. It does. All right, so I have a clear road ahead of me. Let's go ahead and hit it. Manual mode. You guys got to hear this thing. Punch it. The way the thing shifts is so quick. Quickest shifting car I've ever driven. But it's just so fast. As soon as you hit the paddle, it just goes into the next gear, and then you get the little backfire from shifting the gears. It is the most glorious sound, but you can only do that when you're up at like 6,000, 5,500 RPM, and you gotta really be moving in order to get it to do that. But I do really like the way the car drives. It's very responsive. It is aggressive. There is a little bit of body roll, but it's an SUV. Like, I don't expect it to be like super planted to the ground like a McLaren or a Lamborghini or anything like that. The car does well. Like I said earlier in the video, this car is versatile. It is designed to kind of do whatever you want. That backfire is so awesome. Maserati has always been known for their glorious engine notes. And even with 2 less cylinders and 2 turbos, because turbos are known to muffle the sound of an engine, they make this thing sound amazing. I am truly a fan. Like I said, I just don't really like the way that the car looks, but it performs very well. It gives me all the features I need. I like this thing a lot. But I think it's in a great segment. It's a luxury crossover SUV. Like, Maserati did a really good job of putting this thing out here. Now, if you ever see an Alfa Romeo, the Alfa Romeo Stelvia, that is the same exact platform that this is built on. It's just the Alfa Romeo version of it. It's like having a Toyota and a Lexus, sort of. They're like the same company. So one car is built on the platform, or Volkswagen and Audi. It just sings. It just makes so many different noises at so many different RPMs. I think it's just amazing. Like, from the low burbles at the idle stage or 1,000 RPM stage, all the way to like it's humming and singing a tune up in a higher rev range. It is just one of the most vocal cars I've ever had to experience, and I love it. I think it speaks volumes of my personality because I'm very vocal. But yeah, I think it fits me very well. Listen to the sound of the paddle when you click it. It is very satisfying. Like a metal on metal, soft metal kind of click. All right, gonna bend the corner here and give it a little bit. Oh, this thing is so fun. I would love to test out a Ghibli SQ4 or a Trofeo if I could ever get my hands on one of those. I'm sure it would perform just a bit better because it's lower center of gravity, lower to the ground, more planted, and it's a car, it's not an SUV. So I'm sure it would perform just a bit better, but I'd love to see what that's like. If any of you guys out there have one and will let me review it, please let me know. I'll put my email on the screen and contact information so you could reach out and we can link up. I've arrived at my place of work. Backup camera is very nice, very crisp, very colorful, bright screen. It's not 4K or anything, but it is very high def. Do have the lines that go back and forth that kind of show me what direction the wheel is going in. So let's take this thing out of sport mode, quiet it down a little bit, press the sport button, close the exhaust valves. The car is raising up to the standard ride height. The ride is a little softer. It's a decent, do I want to call it a grand tourer? Sure. I can take a road trip in this thing. The ride's a little bumpy, but I don't expect it to be very, very soft and lush and plush like a giant SUV or an old Buick Roadmaster or anything like that. This is more of a sports utility vehicle, like a sporty truck, I guess. Start stop is standard in this car. Come to a light, and if there's enough energy for the car to run the fans and stuff from the battery, it'll do so and just help you save a little bit of gas here. I don't really care for it, but you can turn it off by pressing the auto stop start button here at the top of the infotainment screen. Give it one click and the engine will fire back into life. It is what it is. It's a personal preference. I get it. You already don't get really good gas mileage with this car. Let's check and see how bad the gas mileage is. So according to my trip odometer here, I've done 305 miles. 2 trips between Chanhassen and Minneapolis, and a lot of it is going back and forth between the office in Chanhassen and the other side of Chanhassen, closer to Chaska. I've averaged 19 miles per gallon. I've driven a little spiritly, if you want to say that. But yeah, it's not the greatest. I haven't seen like a 24 mile per gallon indicator while on the highway. You know, when you're cruising, you can see the instant. I've seen that quite a few times, but twin turbo V6 making 424 horsepower, I don't think you're going to be saving a lot of gas anyway. Let me just take some time to go through the infotainment system real quick. I don't want to waste too much of your time, but it is nice, beautifully set up, frameless design here, so the screen fits right into the dash. There's no giant screen that sits up here. Let's go through the tabs real quick. So you got your home menu, playing some music from an Apple CarPlay. You got the map on the side here. Nice, easy interface to access, change your sources here. Super responsive screen. Yeah, there's nothing here, so it's gonna give me a little buzz. Comfort, this is pretty cool looking. It's like 2 people sitting back to back for whatever, but obviously the left side is gonna be for driver, right side for passenger. And the nav is actually really impressive. This is built right in. 3-dimensional screen sitting right here in Minneapolis downtown. And obviously I'm low on gas, and it's offered me to find a gas station. Let's see what we got here. Click yes. All right, heading to the airport. It's got to be down here somewhere. Let's go to this one. All right, drive me there. Okay, get it all set up. Very easy to use interface, very familiar. This is a Android-based infotainment system, built by Google. So I'm sure it's very familiar to a lot of people, but it looks just like a cell phone. This is kind of what we're looking for. We have CarPlay right here. Listen to Jack Boys, shout out to them. Different apps here. I haven't played with these too much, but I'm not worried about it. But yeah, the screen is super responsive. I mean, this is really, really nice, super crisp, nice HD display here. In conclusion, I absolutely love the 2021 Maserati Levante S. It is decently styled. It's not my favorite looking car. Like I mentioned before, there's a little disconnect right here where the hood meets the windshield. But it is powerful, it sounds great, it's comfortable, it has most of the amenities that I could look for in a car. It pretty much checks all the boxes, but it's very expensive. The base model start about $78,000, and that's for the 345 horsepower with the tiny wheels, and but then this one here is at $90,000. That's just with the bigger engine. we didn't add any carbon fiber, adaptive cruise control, or any of that other stuff, then there's a GTS. They'll start about $125,000. Then the Trofeo, north of $150,000. That's way out of my price range. I can't even begin to fathom considering paying that kind of money for one of these kind of cars. Maybe you could. I mean, it was a great car. I loved it. Again, just not with the styling. As I mentioned before, some of my other videos, my Chrysler 300 video, you can probably click on it right here. The way Chrysler products kind of integrate, as I mentioned, Maserati is probably the top tier Chrysler product. Does that make sense? The infotainment system, the window switches, all that stuff, and I get it. But is it worth, if you get the good one, the $150,000 price tag or more? But anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video of the Hungry Road. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss a video. I do review restaurants as well. I do have a Wing Wednesday video every single Wednesday. I am a wing connoisseur on the side. Remember, please take care, stay safe, and don't forget about my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. You can win 101 bucks in your pocket. Just subscribe, watch the videos, interact with me, and when I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll host another giveaway. Take care.